Hey guys, I'm Heintje, and those of you who seen my Madeira video know I had an amazing week. The trails were truly gorgeous and a lot of fun to ride. The only thing they kinda lacked was a real technical challenge. In order to get a fix on that front, I went to Hautes Rivieres for a long weekend of gnar. Of course I brought my hardtail for this challenge. So let's roll the intro and see how the bike handled everything I dared to steer it into. Time for the first trail of the weekend. Those of you who know this place might recognize this one. I know I said in the intro that I wanted a challenge. Well, Mad Max does offer that challenge. It's not a trail you want to warm up on, nor was it our intention. Our plan was to start with them for the Nohan, but we missed the turn and ended up on Mad Max. It's hard to see, but the conditions were slightly wet. Most of it was perfectly rideable, only some parts were still slippery as fuck. So in order to not risk too much, we decided to walk some bits. This one was just the two of us. We arrived early, so we decided to get an early run in. For the next trail, the rest of the group joined and we went for a proper warm-up trail, Norgoutte. I've already made multiple videos about this place, so for this video I'll be solely focusing on technical features, something this trail is just one of.
Shit.
My goal is to ride everything without depths, something I feel miserable at here. Next trail on the agenda is then for the Nohan, this time for real. This one has a couple of challenges for me, first one being this awkward off-camber section that I never managed to clear, same this time. Next is a scary roll-in, scary but not that hard. The tricky part is the last turn before the road. The thing that makes this turn so hard is the fact that it's so damn easy to go straight. With no consequences whatsoever, I think it would be easier to nail this one if the option to go straight wasn't there. But even on the second try I failed, so I'm glad the option is there, for now.
Nee.
So far I don't have any trouble with steep rocky sections. Turns are my nemesis, especially right-hand ones. I still don't know why the difference between the sides is so big in my riding.
Shit.
If anyone knows a good address for a right-hand switchback clinic, please let me know in the comments. Back to the top and time to hit Dauphiné. First technical section, a steep roller or a drop. This one looks scary, but it's quite easy. You might think that line choice is important, but it's not. Just have confidence and commit. The real challenge is a few meters later. Finally one I pass. Next feature is the rock slab, and every time I get here I get nervous. I know I can ride the slab, however I don't know the conditions of the day. Well, the grip was plentiful. I don't think I've ever ridden it this controlled, but I have to say, I feel the lightweight hardtail was an advantage here. Having cleared this one gave me a huge confidence boost. One more feature to go, at least if my friend ever unfreezes.
Ja, is je nog hetzelfde?
Finally getting in the flow and clearing a trail. Time to move on to the next one.
Hoppakee.
Only one section to highlight here, but a long one. And of course, I fuck up a turn to the right, but the true challenge I pass.
Die bochten nou eens leer.
Maybe slightly out of control, but I made it down without hitting any trees or worse, going over the cliff on the right. One more trail to end the day, one with some pretty hard features, so me nailing them all was a great way to end the day.
Oh.
Even this section that I've never cleared before, at least not on the first try. Here it's always the left-hander around the tree that's an issue. And I know, this one doesn't win any beauty awards. I did make it without any depths though, so a real victory for me. Time to move on to day 2. This day we were blessed with the service of this yellow contraption. That meant we could do 12 runs in a day. I'm not gonna go into full detail on all of them, that would make the video way too long. Before I address the more significant trails, let me show you some clips of trails that didn't make the cut. And while I do so, let me get some formalities out of the way. First, I would love to promote this awesome shuttle service here. Unfortunately, this was the last day for our guide. He is about to move to the USA. At this point, it is uncertain if someone will take his spot. If so, I will let you know after my next visit to this little paradise, which brings me to the second point. If you want to stay up to date with my riding and the videos I make, please be sure to smash that subscribe button. It's still a great way to show your appreciation. Now back to the riding. First trail I want to highlight is Rumsteck. This one we rode twice, although I've ridden this trail so many times by now that it hardly makes a difference. During our first run, we stopped at the road crossing so we could have a look at the drop here. I've done it on the e-bike before, so now it's time to hit it on the hardtail. Surprisingly, it felt easier on this bike, probably because the bike is lighter and easier to lift the front. Also right at the moment you want to lift your front wheel, the back wheel hits a small edge. I can imagine the rear suspension making the bike a bit unpredictable in this case. Does this mean that the hardtail is the better option here? For this particular feature, maybe. For the section that followed, definitely not. Here I noticed I was riding a lot more careful now. All of a sudden, all these rocks look a lot sharper. The rest of the trail was me hunting down my friend. He even let me close the gap before each section to make sure he would make it into the video. Apparently, he still wasn't sure, so he also decided to crash. Only one tip. If you crash in order to get into the video, don't do it when you're behind the tree.
Got it?
On the next trail, the difference between the hardtail and the fully became very clear. Gouleyante. This trail had a lot of pretty flat but rough sections. I have to admit, these were terrible on the hardtail. Maybe if I know every little rock and root on the trail, I can find a line that works, even jumping over the worst parts. However, coming up short on a jump like that might mean the end of a reel. On the Eep, I could just steamroll over most of this. On the other hand, on the Eep, I would almost certainly drop my chain on this section, something that still hasn't happened on my hardtail, on any trail. Now, for some of the most technical sections of the trail. The basics of mountain biking still apply. Just point your front wheel in the direction you want to go and keep it rolling. However, here again, the rocks look way more pointy than I remembered. The second time around, it went already better, but it's getting clear that the hardtail is giving me the extra challenge I was looking for. I really like that once again I have to pay attention to my line choice. One more trail to mention for this day, Racines. Not that it has such technical features, it's just that I had a crash on it. Nothing special, just a slide out. At least so it seems. I even brought my bike along in the roll so I could instantly continue. Although something didn't feel right. I did check my pedal and crank were still secured, so let's continue. Upon further inspection the next day, it turned out my pedal was bent. Luckily I had one spare pedal with me, and it happened to be a left one, so I could safely start day 3. After the perfect circumstances yesterday, this day was again tricky. Most of the trails had perfect grip, however some roots and rocks were quite slippery. This day we started with Denver's the Nohan, twice, and as you have seen on day 1, I still had a couple of features to clear. First one, the turn at the end of this section. Of course, as always, the trick is just to look ahead and to where you want to go, so that's one more in the bag. Now for that annoying off-camber section. First run, I slid out once again, resulting in yet another dab. I know it's not really noticeable in the footage, but trust me. On my second run, I finally missed the slippery woods, allowing me to set up for the next rock. So after 4 tries this weekend, I finally cleared this seemingly easy feature.
Whoa, finally!
Now all I had to do is clear the rest of the trail. Something I've done already twice by now, but of course, this time I had to mess up another turn. So still one dab. By the way, if you're counting along and you notice the number doesn't make sense, we also rode this trail yesterday. Same goes for the next trail, LHR. This one is more technical all around. As most trails, it starts relatively flat and easy, that is until you reach this feature. You can pick the inside line. That one is a bit easier, not so steep and hasn't the awkward 90-degree turn to roll in. But hey, I'm here for the challenge, so no inside line for me. Next part isn't that hard, but it's not easy either. It's a lot of off-camber rocks, they might be grippy, but it's a bit of a gamble. So better pick my lines in a way to minimize the chances of sliding out. All to end the trail with a true finale, steep, twisty and all of that on loose rocks, followed up by a double drop. When riding in a group, this is where everyone backs up, killing the flow and making sections like this mentally harder, resulting in a small dab for me. On our second run, we rode the whole trail in one go. This increased the gaps between the riders, so no hold up and no excuses. Just keeping the speed under control, looking to where I want to go, and I got through it, clean. One more small victory. Unfortunately, my chance to get revenge on Mad Max wasn't in the cards for this weekend. However, we did try on Dauphiné Black, another very challenging trail. This one was a bit of a mixed bag. Like I said, it was hard this day to predict the grip. Also by this time I was pretty exhausted. I really need to practice riding up a mountain more now I'm not on my e-bike anymore. However, after I walked a bit, I got through most of the features of this trail, what brings me to the conclusion of the video. The Hautes Rivieres is quite a challenge on the hardtail, exactly the challenge I was looking for. Some parts you really have to pick your line more careful, other parts are just rough. However, everything is still very doable. To end the weekend and the video I did one more run, Norgoutte. So I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you back for my next video. Of course, in the meantime, have fun riding. Houdoe. PS, I did clear the bottom section without any dabs, so one more victory for Heintje.